Hi everyone, welcome to Off the Podium. I have guests who were on my podcast a couple of months ago. I can't remember which number it was, but a few months ago, and now they're back and they're amazing. And I have to apologize, guys, because I love talking to you guys, but it was just terrible timing. And you guys emailed me, and then we went back and forth, and we couldn't figure out the time. Now it's working. It's great. Welcome to Off the Podium.
Thank you. We're happy to be back.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I think we've been to the 12th or the 13th, I don't remember, but really happy to be back here speaking with you.
And the great thing, I'll say this: you guys gave me the idea of doing something, and I don't know which one of you manages the website or if you have someone else doing it, but you guys posted a picture. It was like a logo of Off the Podium and your picture. And after you guys did that, I stole the idea, and I am doing that for all of my other ones.
There we go. Voila.
Well, what's the big news? And I wish we talked about this earlier because it came out earlier. But what's the big news?
Well, our big news is that we have just released our debut album after about a year of planning and working on it and recording.
Uh-huh.
And it's called Reminisce.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a collection of vintage Hollywood hits.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got music from 30s and 40s and 50s that was made famous by the actors and singers who made their renditions of these songs and then became legends as a result.
Yeah, people like Lanza, Catherine Grayson, and the whole if you see a Hollywood film, an old Hollywood film, it has everything.
Yeah.
It has the music, it has the drama, it has great singers, great actors, and that inspired us to choose that kind of songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we feel a real affinity to this era of music making and this particular genre. We think the songs are beautiful, like they were popular in their time, and we think they needed to be heard again in a different, in an updated interpretation. And that was why we chose this particular era.
Yeah. And you have to excuse me if I ask the same questions again as I did before, but there might be some new listeners. So again, what was the passion, the desire, the interest to work on these songs? Because you guys are both classically trained, and you still do a lot of operas and other productions that you're a part of, and we'll get to that. But what was the interest in this genre?
I think it's really like we love to sing operas and everything. That's our main job, let's say. But it's really hard to find people nowadays that are doing those songs, those songs from that specific era.
Yeah.
Especially the Mario Lanza era, the songs that he made famous. And there's not a lot of singers covering that.
No, and like we said, we think these songs are really worth hearing.
Absolutely.
Because they come from an era of music production, where the studios were producing these great movie musicals or just these great movies with these amazing soundtracks, and they had all these great composers and orchestrators, and there was such a lush orchestration and really beautiful songs. And a lot of the composers as well were immigrants themselves, or maybe first or second generation.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them had trained in Europe, kind of with the European idiom, the romantic idiom, and then they came back.
Mm-hmm. And
so we had, America had the benefit of their European training, and they kind of developed their own style.
Mm-hmm.
When you think of movie musicals and movie soundtracks from the 50s and 40s, you kind of have a clear idea in your mind of what kind of what that's gonna sound like.
Yeah.
We've all seen the famous musicals like Singing in the Rain and things like that, and we didn't choose those particular ones. We chose ones that maybe a bit
more obscure today.
Yeah, there are some really very popular hits on the album, but as well we found some that we think people would be interested in hearing that again nowadays.
Yeah.
And we kind of twisted it around into our own.
And probably it was one of the most wonderful eras of American music production.
Certainly.
As well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. What's the name of the album and some of the tracks that you want to talk about?
So the name of the album is Reminisce,
mm-hmm.
and we chose this name because of the vintage Hollywood and everything. And I don't know, we have had a very, very different opinion from the people that have been listening to the CDs about their favorite songs. But we love "Be My Love," for example, which was a Mario Lanza hit. It was a Billboard chart song for Mario Lanza.
Yeah, that was our first single, and it's really significant because it was Mario Lanza's first big Billboard chart hit, and for a classical style singer to have a hit on the pop charts was a huge accomplishment. And like, you know, I think back then as well, you know, in the 1950s, 40s, 60s, there wasn't such a difference between classical and pop. I think people loved both equally. It wasn't, there's such a divide nowadays. And in cinema, in fact, I think it really helped close that gap, because with cinema, you can reach the masses, and if you're presenting to them songs that are sung in a classical style, and you know, big orchestras, and you know, typically classical idioms, you know, they're going to be interested in it.
Yeah. Sure. So, and some of the other tracks that we really liked to sing were "Jealousy," which was also made famous by Catherine Grace, and then we have "And This Is My Beloved," "Granada," "With a Song in My Heart."
Jealousy is really interesting because it's called the Jalousie Tango, and it's written by Jacob Gade, a Danish composer, and it's been done by many orchestras in an orchestral version usually, but then in the films it was done as a song for a singer, as a big kind of virtuosic showpiece. And so we've arranged it as a duet. And that's been a lot of fun to sing that particular song.
Yeah, and you said something about cinemas and how they did a better job maybe back then as opposed to now. How are cinemas now, and if you follow it, how are they not doing what they've done before, which was probably a little bit better as far as musical, the production of music in the cinemas?
Sure, absolutely. Well, I think back then in the studios, you know, for speaking of people like Marilyn Monroe, when they hire you as a starlet, they give you singing and dancing lessons because they know their main genre is going to be musicals, and that was the big moneymaker back then. Or you know, not just full blown musicals, but you might get like a film noir, like Gilda with Rita Hayworth, and then she sings a couple songs in it, you know, but it's not a musical, but it's, you know, the musical aspect of it is very important. And
I think it also has to do with at that time, in the 30s, the 40s, opera was so much more popular, especially in America, and that reflected what was brought to Hollywood. You know, the singers that were brought to Hollywood were classically trained, whereas nowadays you have pop singers going to sing in Hollywood films, which is okay too, but it's a different aspect. You know, to be classically trained, you've trained to do that.
Yeah,
you've had 2 lessons to do the film.
craft is a bit different, I think, of you know, the way they're producing. They still do some movie musicals today, which is nice, and they're very popular.
Sure.
So we'd like to see them do more, obviously, but you know, maybe with that in mind, you know, taking people who've done the right training and maybe who've started in the West End or Broadway, you know, because those people are really phenomenal. And you know, but it's a business, so we get it.
So a fun question, since you guys are in a relationship and are doing a project together, tell me some juicy stories of how things didn't work out and punches thrown and all that stuff.
Well, there are many.
Oh my God. Well, usually we, you know, to see if we have an argument and we really can't decide which, you know, no one's backing down, no one's compromising. We say, all right, who can sing higher today? A very high at the end of our, and so whoever can hit the highest note, because it's a big matter of pride for both of us, being a soprano and a tenor, wins the argument. So that's a true story. Yeah, scary.
Quite a lot of, you know, we always discuss the interpretation of a specific song, and that's very personal. I can see a song being interpreted in a completely different way from Ashley, and that doesn't mean it's right or wrong. And I think that's when we diverge more in the opinions and everything.
Yeah, but then we kind of flesh it out, and then that's when the essence of what we want to do comes out, and it's eventually made clear when we really discuss something in detail. And some of those, you know, arguments and discussions have you know, led to something that's even better than either of us could have singly kind of come up with. So So it's it's part of working together, and it's
Absolutely.
part of being a duo.
And making some soprano jokes. That's
Of
always
course.
the best.
Yeah, right.
That's
Like
awesome.
for example,
Well,
do you have any?
No, I don't have any now.
All right.
He doesn't want to be on record with that joke.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the person who is, I think, the third member of your trio, of your duo. Technically not here with us, but who's the third person who has helped with this project a lot? The arranger, I think, right?
Man behind the
Yes,
musical magic is Ben Christensen
Mhm.
from Edmonton in
Canada.
and he's a young guy. He's fantastic. He's trained as a pianist, and now works as a composer arranger. And he was really instrumental in helping us find our style, because we would go to him with some ideas, and then he'd work on it and then send it back, and we'd go back and forth a few times, and he really got the style that we wanted. He really got the cinematic style, plus updating the music, so it giving it something fresh, giving it some new ideas, which is our whole idea and inspiration. And
this is amazing arrangements, because sometimes we would come to him and ask him to do an arrangement of the song, but we'd like to have it in a mysterious way, and it's very vague, and he comes up with this beautiful arrangement, and we're like, wow. So
I think one time we said something impossible, like that no one could have even done, and he, with like exotic bells and string quartet and percussion, and then what else? And then it was just impossible. And then a sitar or something. And he was able to filter through that and come up with something really fantastic. Anyway, and we were also lucky to have contribution from a great artist, American violinist named Doug Cameron. He's kind of like a jazz violinist, and he made his contribution to our album as well, playing on 2 of our tracks. So that was really, really special to us, because he's a great guy, and his shows are amazing, a lot of fun.
How long did it take to make this happen?
I think it was 1 year and 2 months.
Yeah, maybe about a year. I think when we first had the idea to do it, and then started finding the people who were going to help us, and then
finding studios here in Germany.
Sure.
Speaking in German.
Yeah, that too. Navigating the German studio.
Yeah.
But that was fun. It's a big adventure.
Absolutely.
And we're lucky, because music is amazing, and music has given us all these experiences. We wouldn't have done all of the traveling that we've done, or the people we've met. We wouldn't have been able to do that without music.
Absolutely.
That's very lucky. We're very lucky.
So what are some of the responses? Any responses yet?
People have really been enjoying the CD. So
they love his solo the best. Which is great.
Well, I've done a very famous piece. It was Granada. One many tenors covered, and it's one of my favorite ones to sing to. I've sung it many times, and people really enjoy that Spanishy mood of the piece.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
But people have really been enjoying the CD so far, which is lovely to know, and you just have to keep going.
Exactly.
What's next? What do you plan for this project to have the next step? What's the next step for the project?
I think the next step is to, as much as we can, to keep developing this duo, and to keep producing new music. Whether it's covers of things, or even maybe having something written for us eventually. And then we'd like to.
And in first hand, one of the first to know, we are already working on the next CD.
Wow.
Which is going to be a bit different from this one. It's going to be a bit more modern. It's gonna reflect the travels we've had, the places we've lived, and so we are gonna do some more international music.
And we love, like, when we get to perform as a duo, we love, like, telling people anecdotes about the music, and kind of like outreach, and
of course.
And people love that, and people are really responsive to that, and that's great, and especially audiences who might not have any sort of interaction with classical music or opera.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no substitute for the real thing. I would never say that. But, this is a way to approach it for them.
Of course.
Sure.
If I can take them to an opera, I will, but it's not always possible.
Yeah.
So, but if I can do something like this and they say, oh, that's really interesting, or, oh, that's,
Yeah. Just trying to bridge that gap.
yeah, and break the stereotypes. And, but then, and then from that, hoping that they will go see a symphony concert or go to the opera or hear some art song or something.
To show to them that it's not hard to listen to opera. It's something that people have this stereotype that you need to be rich, you need to be, it's not. It's to everyone. You just need to.
It's very accessible. It just has to be maybe presented to you in the right way. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. That's great. I love those ideas. That's what I try to talk about when I get a chance to talk about these things. But one part of a program which you weren't a part of last time, and it's fairly new, is I don't know if you guys have heard of the journalist Bernard Pivot. He was a journalist back years ago, and he had a questionnaire that he asked his guests. And then there was Marcel Proust, who also a writer. He had a questionnaire. There's a questionnaire based on some of what he asked. Well, a twist on those from me is what food goes well with your current CD?
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
That's a great question.
What do you think?
I don't know. You give an answer and then I'll give one.
I would think something French.
I could say for sure a nice champagne. Yeah.
Maybe a nice macaron.
So
macaron and a champagne.
So not a hamburger for Americans.
Actually, probably a nice plate of spaghetti because Mario Lanza is the Italian boy from Philly.
Yeah.
So that would be nice too. But
yeah, go ahead.
We have one of the films that one of the "Be My Love," our main song is from, is a film called "The Toast of New Orleans." So maybe some Creole, some gumbo, and a glass of champagne.
So when I read about this, what are some of the surprises? You talked a little bit about it, but can you get a little bit more in depth about some of the surprise songs that you might consider surprises for some people?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think the main surprise we have is a song called "You and the Night and the Music," and if you search for it, it's a jazz standard. It was done many times as a jazz standard, but we found this wonderful version of Mario Lanza on the internet, and we oh wow, the melody is so beautiful,
so classical,
so mysterious. There's so much in the melody of that song that we have to do this song.
It was originally written for a musical, I think, a Broadway musical in the 1920s, and then they included it in a film in the 50s called The Bandwagon. And it's a great piece. It really lends itself to this kind of mysterious,
dark and mysterious
ambiance, and it's got great melody, possibility for the orchestra.
The melody itself is very chromatic. It has this. I don't even know the word to describe it. It's beautiful. It has this.
Very interesting.
This warmth in the melody. It's amazing.
So we sent that one to Ben and said, "What can you do with this?" We kind of gave him a blank slate with that one and said, because that was one of the last ones that he did for us, and we really trusted him at that point, and so I said, "What can you do with this?" And he obviously make it a duet version for us, and I think what he came up with was really cool. Something totally new, really, that a song that people might not be familiar with unless unless maybe you're a jazz musician, then you probably know that one. But
still, you don't know our version.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is completely different.
You said something about musicals. Have you done musicals, actual live performances of musicals?
I have. Yeah, I have done a lot at the early part of my career and training. That was probably the first things I ever performed in were musicals, and then later on, I kind of made a switch to opera. But I've always, if there's an opportunity to do one that's good for me, I absolutely, because I really enjoy them, and there's it's a great opportunity to do everything. You have to do a bit of acting, a bit of dancing, and
I think musicals were pretty much like older Hollywood films. There were more classically trained singers featured in musicals than nowadays.
Sure.
You had musicals as like such as West Side Story, or they're not even that old, or Phantom of the Opera, that you need classically trained singers to be able to achieve a better result. And those are the musicals that we go. I performed Phantom of the Opera as well, and you did West Side Story.
Yeah, you got cast in that in London.
I got casted in London. Yeah, I did an audition for that.
On the West End.
On the West End in London, but however, they couldn't offer me a place because I'm Brazilian, and they couldn't offer me a visa.
Brazilian. Are there any Brazilian music? I asked you this last time. Are there any Brazilian musicals? Or Portuguese, in the Portuguese language, but by Brazilian composers, or?
Not really. We have quite a few operas by a composer called Villa Lobos, I'm sure you know. But musicals, we don't. We really don't. What we do, we translate the American ones into Portuguese.
And since you said that, what are your feelings about that?
Well, I think in Brazil, I haven't been there for a long time, at least 5 years, but I wish there were more Brazilian music in the performances. You know, when you go to a performance of an orchestra performance, for example, usually they only feature one Brazilian music when they do.
Yeah.
You know, okay, the European music is amazing, it's beautiful, but why not perform some? Because I know I have many friends that work in the classical world and they don't even know Brazilian classical music. You know, you are Brazilian, you live in Brazil, you work with classical music in Brazil, and you don't know.
There's some really good stuff.
There are amazing pieces, absolutely.
Well,
but I wish, but it's not part of the culture of Brazil, unfortunately.
To promote your own. Yeah.
And classical music also. It's not part of the culture, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, in America we have a little bit of a different problem. Well, at least in my opinion, it's a problem. The recent thing that has a little bit frustrated me with American orchestras is that, you know, a lot of them talk about diversity and inclusion, and they have missed Amy Beach, American composer, who's very important.
Actually sang a song by Amy Beach.
Yeah, I've done a couple of songs.
And anyways, the American orchestras have somehow managed to miss her 150th anniversary, and it's a little bit unfortunate. But
American Woman to write a symphony.
Yeah. Well, I want to go back to your CD, your project, your recording. Why should people listen to this? You said a lot of great things, but just very few and very quick, basic reasons why they should listen to this.
Because it's really fun, I think, it's not gonna be so emotionally involved. It's gonna be enjoyable. I think. Yeah, you're gonna like the music. You're gonna like the melodies. You're gonna hopefully like the voices. You know, the arrangements and the interpretations.
And you definitely stay with the feeling that you want more.
Yeah, I think so. And as you know, as we entitled it Reminisce, because we want you to kind of think about that era of movies, of music making, because there was some great music that came out of that era because of thanks to the cinema, thanks to the studios.
Where can they get the physical copy, or, you know, as many people like to do, just get the online version? Where can they get that?
The physical copy they can get through our email, which is
our website.
Yeah, our website, info@classique.biz. Or the digital copies they can get absolutely any platform, be it iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon, Tidal, Spotify, everywhere they go. If they search Classique and Reminisce, they will find it.
You guys are super hardworking. I don't know how you've managed to do all these things, and you're so active. At least Luperci, right? You're a lot more active on social media. You're always either commenting or liking everything I post. You're absolutely fantastic.
I really do. I really like it. Like, believe me, I won't like something if just for the sake of liking it.
Well,
I really do. I listen to the podcast. I really do.
Well, have we missed anything? Is there anything you want to talk about? Because I have my final 10 blitz questions I want to ask. But before we get there, I want to know if there's anything else we missed. That you
want to say, enjoy music, and because it's one of the greatest gifts that we have, you know, and whether it's classical that you like or another genre, you know, to really enjoy it, because it's
people need more music in their lives.
Yeah.
I love it. You guys are amazing. I love what you do, and I love the way you guys present everything that you do. It's very it's first it's approachable, which is great, and secondly it's very it's high level. So that's one thing that I wish more organizations, both in the States and abroad, did, which is present something that's approachable to most people, but also it's at a high level, because sometimes it has one and not the other, and you guys do well with both. So I love that.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
For both of you, quick blitz questions. You could either joke about it and give me a funny answer, or be serious, whatever you want. But what is your favorite word?
Oh dear, Portuguese one.
I quite like wonderful.
I like bellissimo.
What is your
Italian.
what is your least favorite word?
Can't.
I'll go for fishy.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, emotionally?
I would say definitely
A nice dissonance for me.
a nice dissonance. I would say a text or a poem that's aligned with the music perfectly.
I love a good dissonance, like the notes, a nice clash. I love it.
You like an octave fourth is what
Yeah.
What turns you off?
I would say
I think I've done so many times that Gregorian chant that turns me off.
I would say something a little more like no attention to what you're doing.
As well.
Just kind of singing mindfully or playing mindlessly through something.
What sound or noise do you love? I think you already answered this.
I quite enjoy when someone that is not trained at all, you go in the street and someone like shouts their friend or something, but they have this beautiful voice, this like I quite like it.
I like the sound of a champagne bottle cracking open.
That's
Of course it does.
what do you not like as far as noise or sound?
Construction. There's a lot of construction in Germany.
Wow.
I have to say, they love to build stuff, and noisy over here.
Give me a parallel fifth. Hate it.
What profession other than what you're doing now would you like to take on?
I definitely want to be a conductor.
Pastry chef.
I'd love to be a conductor. Absolutely. For me, I think it's one of the most beautiful professions. I don't know. I really like it.
I mean,
choral conductor or orchestral or both.
Both. I think both.
it's easy. You just wave your arms. What is your idea of happiness?
Getting to do what you love.
And being with your friends, being with people, being surrounded by people that you can trust and like you.
Last question. Where would you like to live other than where you are now?
We've been debating about that.
Yeah, that's a big debate.
Well,
Best case scenario would be maybe London.
yeah, and I'll say New York City.
Yeah, definitely.
Not Brazil, not the States.
I haven't lived in the States in a while, and I grew up in middle of New York State.
Uh-huh.
And I have traveled quite a bit. I do love California, actually, and Florida.
And New York City.
Florida as well. New York City would be amazing.
Yeah.
We definitely like the kind of international atmosphere that London has.
Brazil is beautiful, but it's beautiful in the sense that you can enjoy the beach, you can have fun, but you can't work in the area where we work.
Definitely the last question before I let you guys go. But what's next as far as either just something that you're doing for fun or professionally? What's next? So
we are going to, in a couple weeks, we are embarking on Silver Seas World Cruise to do some different shows there, and that's very exciting because you get a lot of different guests from all different backgrounds, and we get to do opera, we get to do song, and we get to do projects like this, presenting our CD, presenting this kind of repertoire. So I'm really excited to present it to them and see kind of how they write, how they react.
And we'll be traveling the world.
Yeah, and we get to travel. That's a good a perk of the job.
Well, thanks so much, guys. It was an absolute pleasure. And,
thanks for having us.
Thank you, absolutely. Yeah.
Have fun on the tour, and hopefully we'll have you back on soon.
Well, fingers crossed.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
You too.